Hello. So let me check one thing. Last time we were making a plan about pipelines. So long story short, it must solve one of problems I have. It's to automate some routine actions. 6 years ago, I used to have a project named Pipelines UI, as well as Pipelines. It was doing quite simple things. First was UI, where you could arrange blocks and manipulate input and output. So for example, in some cases it could, let me show you, yes, it could take some image, resize it, add watermark somewhere, there is config for each action, and it was doing some quite interesting thing named input and output, which could be absolutely random things except arrays. There was a problem with arrays, I think, yes, 6 years ago, but it's time to revive this project and obviously rewrite it, because last time it was Redis. Let me increase it. Yes, so that was UI, and it was quite straightforward Django project with Redis and Celery. So it was targeted for one machine. Today my it's not full screen. Okay, let's leave it as this. So today my job would be to catch up what I did a few days ago and here in the stream. Fix. Definitely there are mistakes I couldn't think about. Fix it and start assembling interface and requirements. So let's begin with that. This stream should take 1 hour. I hope to make it in time. So that was a problem, and my solution was straightforward: make some configurable pipelines which will be obviously saved from some UI, and let's name it not blocks, not process, but blocks, because in UI it should be arranged as a block. It shouldn't be complicated. Then generate videos according approved text. Yes, that is correct. It's pipeline 1. It would be generate something, and obviously it should pipeline. It should provide ability to store config for this pipeline. It should not be some crazy JSON file or YAML file. It should be something easy, and definitely with UI like that. Yeah, now it's bigger. So definitely like with UI like that, but that UI was done in Angular, I think. Yes, it was Angular. Today it should be React TypeScript, because I would like to learn a few things there. So what do we have? Start pipeline configuration. Store config and allow. It's easy. Update. UI. So this is our pipeline. pipeline 1, generate videos according to text. Yes, so last time I was defining defining how to tell it. It was draft solution. It's what I want, how it's possibly interface is made, at least communication interface. And I stopped at requirements, what this pipeline should do. Yes, pipeline requirements. Let's call it not generate video. Okay, let's leave it to this. So it should send HTTP request to OpenAI. Let's block named HTTP request. Let's call it block. Maybe I should do prefix. Block HTTP request. Should be quite configurable thing. This one as well. Now we have a problem with here. There is a thing which sends something which communicates with Telegram, so it needs separate token, it needs some sort of authorization, and there are two ways how to communicate. First, it's to send request, it's quite straightforward. And the second, we need to pull a request. We don't need hook or dedicated IP address somewhere in server. So in this particular case, we should make another block. Let's call it Telegram communication. Telegram send. Then another thing. It's send result to Telegram in order to see the result of this action. There was transcription, generate images according to transcription. It will be not a block. No, it will be one block with multiple output. So we'll figure out how to do it a bit later. In here, use MoviePy to combine transcription, segment, and image. So there is a problem since step 6 generates a list of images. We have matching number of images and transcription segments. That's important. So in this particular case, we can make separate block. It would I might call it generate image, just like in this case. It won't be resize or watermark. There will be resize. It will be something like watermark, but add text. Let's call it block. Create slides. Let's call it label image. I don't know how to add it more. Maybe I should call it add subtitles. Yes, that would be correct. Assemble text to speech and slides to video. That's important since we have a segment which contains data. How to explain it? Let me find an example because it's complicated. not to show you it. I have JSON with example, but it's on my remote server, which is located here. Why is it so slow? And let's try it again. Okay, vessel. SH. Okay. Now we go to projects. Ah, here it is. It's updated. I have that JSON thing here. Yes. So JSON about transcription. This is JSON, but let me format it correctly. And so where is my JSON formatter? I think it's missing. Let's install it. JSON formatter. Beautify or something. Oh, here it is. No. Where was it? JSON format. Oh, no. I think this one. Let's check. So, yes, here it is. So what was I talking about? We have big text which sends to transcription, and it determines automatically. Let me increase it. How long is this file? Folks, let's hide it. Now it should be better. So how long this file is, and it makes segments from this text, which has start and end. It's times. I wouldn't call it timestamps. It's time frames, and it matches provided text to speech like perfectly. It's awesome. That's the reason I would like to use it. Let me leave it here, this JSON, because we'll need it. So in this particular case, generate images according transcription. Since we have one transcription which contains multiple segments like this, input is JSON and output it's array of images. So in this case, it won't be just HTTP request. No, it will be HTTP request, because the output of this particular action, it's URL. So DALI won't just return you binary data, it will yield you a link. So in this case, it will return submit input text and output array. This won't be array, it will be link. There is also a case in DALI most recent version, it can make only one image, when previous version can make up to five items. So in this particular case, it will be array of links, URLs. That's important, and in here I have described it, I think. Step 6. Step 6. Generate images according to transcription. Input file with a result from step 5. It's which is text transcription. Let me copy it there, because it was output file is transcribed. This is content of that file. That's important to have it here. What next? File. It will be one file. It should be one file. Yes, one file. Output. File named. Yes. Step 6. Generate images according to transcription. So we have this. It's an input. But output, it won't be multiple files. It will be multiple URLs of generated images. That's what we need. Step 7. Yes, we are updating it. We need to download each of those files. Let me find the triggers and pop. Yes, download. It will be triggers. Let's leave it as this. Download from URL input. URL output file. That won't be correct now. Step 8, 9, and step 10. Create slide from image and transcription segment. That's quite interesting because we have, let's call it, multiple segments like here. Each of them must execute block, but since we cannot do it in parallel, we must do it in cycle, in for, which means download image from URL, input list of URLs. That's important. Output list of files. And that's the problem I used to have 6 years ago. I decided not to solve it back then, and it was okay. In our particular case, it's still a problem because step 8 creates slides from images and transcription segments. So this step should have input transcription, this file. Hope submitted, yes. Output from step 5. Let's call it list. And list of files. It from step 5. And this one from step 7. That would be correct. It will output list of files. In this case, we should assemble text-to-speech, slides to video, and there is a problem. According transcription segment. It was start end, I think. Let me check. Yes, start end. So in this case, it should transfer time frame input. That will be tough. List transcription segments from step 5. Then text to speech should be from step 4, I think. Yes, step 4. And list of images, list of files. Slides from step 8. That won't be correct. Output. Video file. It will be one video file. Then we should send thing to Telegram, input video file from step 9. That will be correct. Let me check if it's going on. I was checking chat. Unfortunately, I have no second monitor right now yet. What else do we have? I think that's all. So in our particular case, how to implement these ones, it would be a bit of problem. So let me copy those things from step 6. Download image, generate images according to transcription. Yes, it's correct. Then download image from URL. Yes, this one is already a problem. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Also, let me update a few things in here because it's complicated. No, this one is correct. Webhook from step 1. Also, let's replay this. It's the only. Okay. Let's check what's there. Yes, it's correct. Oops. For step. Let's replace it. Now it's what I think correct. What else? Transcript. In this case, it's download image from URL. That's complicated because create slides. Input text, output array of URLs. Step 6. Is it correct? Multiple URLs of generated images. Yes, that's correct. In this case, it's not HTTP. You know it should be HTTP request. It's fine because it's input and output array of URLs in JSON. That's what I remember about it. What's next? Download image from URL. That is important because it's block. It won't be just download one image. It will be HTTP request. It should be some sort of smart thing which extracts which extracts some JSON property in order to. So what I mean in these cases, HTTP request, there is predefined URL, but in this here, it's not HTTP request as some standard thing. It should parse input, find URL and then make request. It won't be HTTP request, it'll be smart HTTP request, something like that. Maybe since there is JSON property in body, let me smart, it's already complicated, but let us make it smart HTTP request. Parse input against and match to and URL or URLs. That would be correct. So it will find URL or list because it's in one property. Then it will simply fetch it, since there is same interface as HTTP request. It should contain the same authorization, some smart headers and things like that. So it should simply inherit HTTP request. That, I think, what it is. But there is a problem. Step 7. Is there input described list of URLs? No. Download image from URL. Yes. List, output, list of files. There is no description what it does. So in this case, we should input and output. It should be the file. Files named pipeline UID / suffix with yes, that should be it. Let's make it suffix, but index. That would be it, I think. So let's proceed. Create slides. We have updated it. Create slides from images and transcription segments. That one, it's a separate block. I was wondering if I need to make a block which will make some zip instead of this suffering. So in Python, zip, it's when you have two different length arrays and you simply pick. So let's assume you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are a few ways to call zip, but in particular case, there was some parameters, because in default case it should fail because there is nothing in here. It's 3 elements instead of 4. No, I don't like this. So in this case, it should yield, I think dict, I don't remember. Let me write it in console. And let's find what's there. Print. I think it won't because it's, yes, list. But it shouldn't be a list. Oh, it is a list. So it can easily be converted to dict or anything else. So if I do dict, yes, it works. So That's what I would like to do. It's to provide two arrays to be zipped into one output. So in this case, if I have a list of files, a list of transcriptions, its length always same. So what if to introduce one block which will execute another block for each item? So in this case, output array, download image, no. How to say download images from URLs. So this won't be smart HTTP because it's already a big problem which I don't like. But let's leave it. It will be, yes, here. Make block call. Maybe we should leave it as this, create slides from images and transcription segments. So we should call it block zip or combine or anything. But for now, block. Let's call it zip because right now I don't want to waste time on naming because we can ask ChatGPT later. So zip. Zip images. Zip input. List of images. List of transcription segments, and then what's important is what kind of operation should be executed. It should be input, call it data, and there should be a block. Let's call it add subtitles. But to be honest, once upon a time it was add watermark, but now let's call it add subtitles to image. Input. Oh, that would be correct. Create slides. Output of this thing would be list of the same as step 8, where was it? List of files. Okay, list of files, yes, correct. But it should be also it won't be by plain UID, it will be here. Image. And here it should be slide. So step 7. There are no names. Yeah, that's good. I think we should move it to... Okay, I'll move it later because we have 30 minutes. Assemble text to speech and slides to video according to transcription segments and time frames. So in this case, it will be the same zip, by the way. Input block. Let's call it I remember it was Let me check. I must ensure that it was. Have I explained it somewhere there? No. So to make the thing, it's to generate slide. It's assemble text to speech and slides to video. That would be a bit incorrect, because how may I explain it correctly? The code for this thing, it's quite straightforward. It won't be assemble TTS, it will be assemble slides to video. First of all, assemble slides to video. Then it will be add that would be correct, because it cannot be done in one operation, I think. Input video file. Video file 9 and TTS from, I think, 4. Yes, TTS from 4. That would be input, and output would be a simple file. Video file. Video file from 10. That what should be in the end. Then let's make it 11. Yes. So in this case, assemble slides to video according to transcription segments. It should be block movie pie. Yes. Let's call it movie. Its data is slide from step 8. And transcription from step 5. Yes, this is correct. Add text to speech to video. Block. It shouldn't be zip. It should be combine with audio. Oh, I think we don't need it. No need to describe it. It's simple. Add audio to video, then send result to Telegram. It will be block. Telegram send. Send results on video without send results from 10. That's what I think it should look in the end. The only problem I used to have a while ago, it's how to combine array of something into how to reuse it. So in this particular case, assemble slides to video. It will be input and output. It should be one video file. And in there we had an issue, a list of files. So yes, each output of each step on block might be dynamic depending on content. So in a few HTTP requests, output might be JSON, etc. So we need to prepare something, prepare to mitigate errors or risk to get something like in here. We might get, since text-to-speech engine might fail, might need to stop this, because HTTP request we await for response. It might be HTTP 200. It's quite bad interface, but it happens. I saw it. HTTP 200 with some response like result error, and there is code something like that. So I used to see this, but unfortunately not in OpenAI, but in a few projects, and I'm not fine with that. So that's all. We have 20 minutes. So this stream was about making some requirements, some interface about it. Next stream I will start implementing Python code. Oh, by the way, let's do it now by next stream. Let's do a few things before. Define a text stack. That's important. Proposed solution, proposed. Let's call it not proposed solution, but a solution. Pipeline 1 we don't need it, and then text stack. That's important because it will define the architecture of what we want from there. Oh, by the way, let's not call text stack, it's too soon. Architecture, obviously. Let's make it bigger for you to see it. Yeah. So, what do we need? First of all, it was my problem. Solution, make pipelines which contain blocks. Store pipeline. So we need UI, obviously. Let's call it client UI. It will be pipelines. Pipelines config. We need servers, which means we need some point of configuration. It's like Stable Diffusion. If you download it, let me show you what I mean. Firefox. There is Web UI in Stable Diffusion. Images, let's check it. Yes, that's what I mean. Here. So, I would like to do a similar thing. Let's assume we have frontend. It's a separate project, it's in React, etc. But what's important, it must manage the config of this pipeline like this. We have block 1, block 2, block 3, whatever. And obviously something like that. Maybe, can I? No, I shouldn't use it. What else did they have? Workflow. Nice. So in our case, let's return to architecture. Let's start with backend because it's first of all backend oriented thing. obviously we have database. Let's make it Postgres. Its only purpose is to save configs. Maybe we shouldn't have a database as is, because there are two levels of configs we need to store. I forgot to mention. Let's say config for pipeline, which blocks and blocks order and settings. It's first config, and there is another config. It's system config, which contains things like how much workers we have. I wouldn't call it config as is, but yes, it's system config, because movie.py needs, I think it's movie.py, is it? Where is it? Okay, I think it was movie.py. Yes, it's movie.py. At least movie.py needs path to FFmpeg and a few other libraries. Also, this config should contain, let me check it, storage config, OpenAI token, for example, which models which blocks, which models used for, let's call it text-to-speech, transcription, image generation. That means it's block configuration as is. You could have seen it, let me find it, in here. Where is it? SRC, projects, workers. Let's say there was resize image, and in here there was a config stored in a JSON schema, which described what this particular, I was called, yes, what this particular resize can work with. For example, you could have provided a file or base 64 string. So this thing also should be stored. And it's another level of configuration. First of all, it should be centralized, because if something happens, for example, I rotate token, our workers should not request a reload. At least it's in my home project. I think it would be fine, because if a token is no longer viable, why do I need to restart anything? It's possible we might utilize centralized config. Oh, storage. What should it be? Definitely, it shouldn't be Postgres, it shouldn't be any database, Redis or Memcache. I think it should be one file somewhere in NAS, or where each of those workers has access. Let's say file system, shared file system somewhere, and it will solve the problem of system config. Another situation is config for pipeline. How should I configure it? Maybe we should use it the same because I don't want to introduce some crazy stuff. Yeah, let's make it. So we should have dedicated storage. Shared storage. I wouldn't call it below binary files. What can it be? No, let's call it Raspberry Pi or USB stick inside of Raspberry Pi, maybe. By the way, I have router with USB. It's possible that I simply insert that USB stick in that router and use share files inside of... Aha, there is a problem. If I store my OpenAI token and someone gets inside of my network, it will be a big problem. So it shouldn't be shared for everyone. Shared storage under authorization. Obviously there should be some sort. Storage for files, USB stick, and router. That's just an example. Since I have access to there, I can edit files, make it read-only, whatever. So that will be storage for config files. But I don't like it already. It's good for system config, but it's bad for pipeline config because we have UI, and the UI should have access to API, and API should make these things possible. Yes, let's move it here. API, yes, shared storage for that. As for API itself, API should store its data in... If I introduce database, there will be a problem. Migrations, for example. What kind of... but each pipeline and its state of its block should be stored somewhere. What I was thinking about is to make file-based storage. But it will introduce a lot of problems. Yes, let's make it Postgres. Okay. In the end, everything ends with Postgres. Database. For example, no. Postgres. Some API configs. Then what we need is multiple APIs which will serve our workers. It's n. Database Postgres for block. States management and block configs. Yes, workers, what do I mean? Let's assume my laptop, which is 10 years old, it cannot do a lot. It cannot it cannot generate video because it's very weak for that. But it can download, make HTTP requests, very simple operations. And I have another laptop and PC, which means my PC is able to process video quite fast, definitely faster than my most recent laptop. So we should make our workers able to be deployable, and what's important, they must be able to how can I tell it, discover each other. So in this case, these workers needs some sort of magic. There are a few ways how to synchronize workers. It's workers sync discover. Maybe I should call it different, separate responsibilities. Block. I wouldn't call it availability, but capability. When declaring block capability, what do I mean? It's when our worker can do only one or multiple operations which it was hardware. Or image generation. For example, to make that image you need GPU, but in laptops which are 10 years old there are 2 gigs of RAM, and I think it is possible to generate image, but definitely not quality which I would like to have, and obviously not, it will be very slow because it might utilize CPU. So that is important. Worker separate responsibilities for declaring block capability. That's the problem which we are going to solve. Also, we need to make it able. Workers discover. That's why I need it in architecture, because I define problem and how we can integrate it. So there are a few things. For example, when we execute pipeline, it's not. Let's call it steps. Steps and then blocks. Yes, pipeline 1 requirements. Yes, so when we declare, when we start the pipeline, it should simply say, okay, I have income, there is data, I must poke some worker to start his job. Fine. That's all what pipeline does. It's API, that's only thing what it does. So in this particular case, we have API. Let's call it API. It's our front-end entry point. Workers. So that API, it might be n machines and virtual machines with same connection database. That's all. It should produce only one message. Let's call it not one, but a few messages. database. That would be correct. And there is worker which also has connection to the database. Let's go here. It's our first thing. I didn't want to introduce database because if we have some network, let's say virtual network, where each worker can sign up, which I wouldn't say it can ping every host inside of that network, but I don't know, multicast, for example, or SNMP, but it's for devices. Maybe we should make similar for workers. And that right now, single point of failure is our database. If it's go down for any reason, there won't be any API, there won't be any worker signing up. So I don't like database, but let's discuss it tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a stream. For now, let's make it quite stupid. We have database, we have API, we have workers, which has discovery of another workers via database. But maybe we should not make discovery. Yes, let's remove it, because if we have database, there is no for discovery. Each worker has connection to the database. Maybe there is some Postgres channel. Let me show you. There was a thing named Postgres. Yes, this one. No white page. Yes. Listen, registers current session as listener on the notification channel. Aha. We don't need a running Python code inside of each worker. We can say, hello, please listen this channel. That's all. If it has something new, it will be notified. There is no need to Python whatever. And since each channel might have it's definitely its name, but we might separate workers and their responsibilities via these channels, and it's made in Postgres, but still I don't like a single point of failure. My idea was, I think I've done a similar thing like in 2017. Some virtual network where each private network as up let's check if it's possible to done via SNMP, but I don't like it also. SNMP protocol simple network. No. It's SMTP. It's why devices were made. What goes called? Simple mail transfer protocol. No, it's not that. SMP. Okay, simple. Discovery protocol. Simple device discovery protocol. Here it is. I think that is, but let's check. No. I used to work it in a while ago, but it's not it. So, I'll do it next tomorrow. I need to figure out, because back in the day I had network where we declared some devices able to do something, and that was segregation of workers. With that said, we don't need Postgres. Our API would simply visit those workers individually, and each worker can pass its result to another worker without any database or whatever. So architecture, let's make it storage. Shared storage, virtual private network for devices where each worker signed up and marked itself as up. Can up and mark itself as up and running with block compatibility. If that is correct. With that said, we need APIs. Let's make it and workers. Yes, these are done. So how will it look like? We have it might sound like what? We have VPN where we have API and a few workers. So when things happens, we have no single point of failure because there is API 1, API 2, whatever API n. The entry point for this, since each of these things are devices, maybe entry point to this VPN should simply route to device able. Device block compatibility. That's what I would like to do. So our architecture would be quite straightforward, but it will take some research because I used to work with it 2008 maybe. I was systems administrator in one ISP, and we had quite simple task. We had one building and a known number of layer 2 switches, I think, and I had to use that protocol of device discovery to figure out what happened there without physical check. That was wild. That's the architecture I would like to make, but if it won't be able to do, then we have simple Postgres database, a few virtual machines which can be scaled easily. It's horizontal scaling. And as for workers, let's go with worker 1, worker 2. They all will be connected to database. That's the problem I don't like. So with that architecture, we have a big problem. I mean, I have a big problem. If, for example, on my own laptop, I think hard disk already died. It's dying. And if I make database there, it's the end of this thing. Obviously, we can run database in replication. Maybe we can run Sentry in Redis in Sentry mode with multiple nodes, but I like this idea because it's like you have VPN, maybe one router, you have a few Ethernet switches, and you don't care at all. Your worker, it's device. But let's discover it tomorrow. So tomorrow it's draft. Tomorrow I will scope through what changed in network discovery. Is it possible to simply plug your laptop inside of router which has dedicated network and it should be enough to register your worker without configs and other stuff, if it's possible. Maybe if it is possible, I will buy one Raspberry Pi for HTTP requests. Very simple, like $10 I think it costs. Let's check how much. Cheapest. Obviously I need power over Ethernet. Boy. How much will it cost? That's too much. What is it? It's separate. Okay, $20, 20 euros, not a big deal. So maybe with that said, I can make two Raspberries for redundancy. Laptop for video calculation, it can work overnight, and another laptop for image. That's my plan. And about coding part, it will be separate thing. So tomorrow we'll define architecture. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe and share if you want. Bye bye.